Alrighty everyone, welcome back. We are now in the final week of March of 2024, and before we head into April, which by the way is when the Acolyte series marketing campaign is going to ramp up even further, as if it can't get any worse. The ratios across the board for multiple different channels that are displaying the Acolyte trailer are already heading into a major disaster, causing those like Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, Leslye, Headland, and among others to run into full-on damage control over this failed series that's all set and ready to release by June 4th. By the way, this is exactly why they delayed the trailer for so long. This specific trailer existed for well over a year and was presented at last year's Star Wars Celebration. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about the Acolyte series is that we know that everyone associated with Disney has been defending this thing day in and day out. Those like Bob Iger, those like Kathleen Kennedy for obvious reasons, and Leslye Headland, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant. Yes, I don't know if you guys knew this. This is something that needs to be known as a fact because it is. She used to be the personal assistant of this guy. And these are the types of people that Lucasfilm hires. And it's not a big shocker based on who they have hired before in the past. Now, looking at the Acolyte series, specifically when it comes to Joy Behar of The View, another Disney hire, another face of the Walt Disney Company that endlessly defends Disney and goes up against anyone that is opposed to Disney's full-on agenda. Now, specifically on top of all of this, with the Acolyte backlash only getting worse as the moves, of course, roll on for Disney to defend this series, with those, of course, like Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy heading into damage control. One face of Disney recently defended the Acolyte series and went against the fans that are opposed to this new series by delivering the following. As a woman, and one who fully supports what Disney has been trying to normalize in this industry for the past number of years, I find it to be quite repulsive and offensive over how some of their customers have been acting with the release of the latest Star Wars trailer called The Acolyte. Now, I may not know much about Star Wars, but what I do know about this latest feature coming from Lucasfilm is that we have powerful figures like Kathleen Kennedy and a newcomer in this industry, Leslye Headland, who we plan to have on the show at some point in the near future. What I find to be so attractive about these two is how they are fighting for women and their roles in both television and film, especially over at Lucasfilm. And it's disgusting to watch a handful of loud, angry people just shouting into a void that are convincing others to think the same exact way with this new Star Wars feature. It's 2024 now, and I think adults need to learn how to keep repulsive opinions to themselves, to just let the people that put these shows together to really create their own story, and they should just accept it for what it is, you know? Fans get too caught up in this nonsense that's just non-existent, especially with this case regarding their latest Lucasfilm series. My friend's children watch the footage, and the one plus about this is how it's a powerful story about women coming together, and it's going to be a great diversity piece. I don't think we have ever seen anything like this coming from Lucasfilm yet, so this is making history as far as I can tell. Something that I think George failed to do so for so many years. And now you have someone who, like Leslye Headland, who worked on Russian Doll, I believe, really just knocked this out of the park with how it was executed. This is a story, especially for women, that doesn't mean men can't check this out. They are getting the wrong idea. I had the chance to speak with Rosario Dawson months ago, and we were dealing with a similar reaction to her series, which I'm sorry I forgot what that was called, but it was a powerful show for women, and men really enjoyed it, so I don't know what the fuss is all about with this one. I think Disney really needs to take a step back and realize that the noise is not as big as it seems to be. In my experience, even if you have 1 million people shouting, what is that, you know? Compared to the other millions of people, tens of millions that you can touch. So this is no different with this Acolyte series. I think it's just a male issue at the core of it all. Men are just afraid of diversity and change in such a drastic way that they just can't handle that being portrayed by actors and actresses in a series of a brand that they grew up with for decades. Now guys, let me stop here before I move on. Now, the one thing about the Acolyte that she gets so wrong about this is that there are loyal Star Wars fans, there are fans that grew up with George Lucas's Star Wars that are being disrespected by the company that was taken over by Kathleen Kennedy, and in this scenario, a Disney hire, such as Leslye Headland, really just tarnishing the brand beyond repair. There's no way that they're going to recover from the Acolyte show. I've said this before about a year ago, that this series in particular was going to be The Last Jedi 2.0 in terms of how big of a backlash it would be, if not worse. And it's looking to be a worse backlash than The Last Jedi, because look at what kind of response we're already getting before this thing is even released on June 4th. That is a major telltale that this series is going to really take over the mantle, or take over the spot of where The Last Jedi is as one of the most failed pieces by Lucasfilm that truly just divided the fans and just split the fandom in two. And now I think what the Acolyte is going to do is it's going to rid of any remaining fans left. That's basically what I believe the Acolyte is going to lead to when it comes to the rest of Lucasfilm's projects. Now, specifically on top of all of that, Joy Behar is clueless. She couldn't even remember the Ahsoka Tano series by name that Rosario Dawson starred in, so she really knows nothing about Star Wars. She's just a Disney hire. She's a face of Disney, one that is protecting the Acolyte's image that was written and created by Leslye Headland and pretty much, directed by her as well. She's the showrunner of the entire thing. And let's get into all this, of the major conclusion about this. She goes on to conclude, and to be quite frank, George should have gotten in on this way earlier by supporting women and diversity. I think this is going to put a stamp on Leslye Headland's career, and I am excited to have a talk with her in the coming months once they get the show rolling. It's going to be quite an experience. So again, Joy Behar has defended endless failures by the Walt Disney Company, by projects from Marvel Studios, from Walt Disney Animation Studios. It's not a shocker. This is just typical Joy Behar, who really watches The View, or as I like to call it, The Spew, at the end of the day, alright? It's such a small margin of people, regular Star Wars fans, Marvel fans, whatever have you, are not watching The View. They are shouting out to the wrong audience to begin with. The only audience that they're shouting out to are new fans, quote-unquote, or fans that are just getting into this stuff that have no clue about what Star Wars truly is about, or where Marvel Studios really needs to take things with the MCU. So, overall, this is a very interesting phase that we're in right now, that we are very well facing another Last Jedi situation by June 4th, with the 2-episode premiere of the Acolyte series, alright? So that's another red flag right there. The fact that they delayed the trailer for so long, just a couple of months before release, they could have released this thing months and months ago, but they knew about the reaction that they would get. And the second is that they are looking forward to dropping a specific exclusive look at the show attached to the Phantom Menace re-release. That's just full-on damage control, that is desperation, and it just goes to show you how desperate they really are now. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys later.